Hi everyone, and welcome to today's ILX Learning Hub live demonstration. My name's Etty. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Executive here at ILX. We'll give it a minute or so for a few more people to join, so I can still see people sort of filtering in, and then I'll be handing over to Dave and Camille here. They are from our Customer Success team, so they're going to be running you through today's presentation. But while we are waiting, there are just a couple of housekeeping bits I need to cover, so I will run you through those now. Firstly, you'll notice that you're all on mute. Please do remain on mute throughout the session. This just means that Camille and Dave will be nice and clear for everyone to be able to hear them perfectly. If you do have any questions as we're going through, there is a question box up in the top right-hand side of your screen. You can type those in there. If there's sort of technical questions, you can't see us, you can't hear us, I'll be sort of dealing with those in the background. And otherwise, if they're about the content, then we'll get to those at the end during our Q&A session. The webinar is being recorded. You'll receive a follow-up email from us tomorrow with a link to that recording, so you can watch it back, forward it on to colleagues, that type of thing. We also like to say give us a follow on social media. We're active as at ILX Group on LinkedIn, Facebook and Instagram, so you'll be able to follow us over there. It's a great way to sort of hear about other webinars and events that we've got coming up. We'd also, particularly for this session, encourage you to stretch the shared screen portion as big as you can on your screen. You should be able to do that using, there's a little box with the 2 arrows. You should be able to use that to stretch the screen a little bit bigger, just shrink down our cameras. This is just so that you can see every portion of the demonstration as clearly as possible. You can also change the position of our cameras, so you can put these at the top or at the side, depending on which is easier for you. You can do that using the active cameras button at the top portion of your screen. That is the main bit from me. I will be handing over to Dave and Camille here for the rest of the session, and then, as I mentioned, there will be time for a Q&A at the end. So, without further ado, I shall hand you over.
Thanks, Etty. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Camille and I are part of the Customer Success team, and today we're going to be taking you through a walkthrough of the ILX e-learning portal. As it says in the title, we're going to be highlighting how to maximise your learning experience. The ILX portal itself is where our e-learning is accessed and where you, if you're a learner, would complete any study. We really do believe in engaging with our learners. We understand that different people have different learning styles, and on this webinar we're going to try our best to demonstrate best practice and give advice no matter what your preferred learning style. We completely understand as well that some of you may be familiar with ILX and have worked with us before or in the past, whereas for some of you this may be the very first time you've seen our e-learning portal or heard from us. The great thing about being able to see this walkthrough visually is that you're going to be able to imagine how you would use the e-learning portal and how you would use some of these features and functionality. Whether that's that you're thinking of doing a certification, so you're thinking of going and sitting a certification exam, going through one of our courses for that reason, or using our learning as a bit of more of a resource to learn methodologies and competencies. E-learning's key benefit is flexibility. Our e-learning is hosted online and can be accessed anywhere at any time, as long as you've got an internet connection. Our e-learning as well, as you'll see in a moment, is built to be user-friendly as well as interactive. My colleague Camille will now take you through the ILX e-learning portal. As Etty's already mentioned, we had some time for some Q&A at the end, but yeah, I hope you enjoy the session. I'll hand over to you, Camille.
Lovely. Thank you so much for that, Dave. So hello everyone. Just to sort of echo what Dave said, my name's Camille and I work in the Customer Success team here at ILX, and I am going to be taking you through our demonstration of the portal today. So what I'm going to do just to start off is share my screen, make sure that's all okay for everyone and that we can see it. Lovely. So as a sort of first point, the first thing you're going to see when you're coming onto our portal is this homepage here. So your access will be sent via email. You'll always be given a link directly to the portal, so nice and easy for you. It will be a case of just clicking the link provided, which will take you here. I'm going to sign in. Please do bear with me. I get a couple of options that you might not get. So this, for example, you won't get this option. I have access to quite a few portals. when we log into the portal, we're opening this main dashboard page here. So just a few things to take note of before we go into the courses. I just want to highlight on the left-hand side for you, you have your main portal settings, some resources, and then you have your courses and your main dashboard here, which we're seeing for you. Now, depending on how many courses you're studying, you may see less or more courses here. I have access to quite a large portfolio, so that's why I have all of these to show you at the moment. Generally, our foundation level courses will take around 12 to 15 hours of study, and practitioner is usually around 20 hours. Just to give you a little bit of an example of that, I'm going to be going into the Prince 2.7 Foundation today. The practitioner level is the Prince 2.7 practitioner. So this is just to give you a little bit of an idea as to how many courses we do have available for you. There's quite a large variety, and we do have, you know, various different examining bodies as well. We have APM, we have APMG, we have Prince 2, which is People Cert as well. So there's always something for everyone. And if you're ever unsure of what courses might be beneficial for you, you can always take a look at our website, and we have a lot of course information. And you can also just contact us, and we'll be able to help you navigate through those decisions as well. So what I'm going to do is, this is the main page. So I specifically want to take you through Prince 2.7 Foundation today. So I can use this little search box up here just to navigate to the course that I do want, or you can scroll down as you saw earlier when I showed you those courses. To get into the course, I'm just going to press play. It's going to load up, and when you come into the course for the first time, you will see a page very similar to this, although it will be slightly different. So just here, you'll notice I have resume from bookmark. You should probably have an option for product tour if it's the first time you're going in. If you've been in the course before, you'll have this page. We're just going to go to main menu today. I'm not going to go to my bookmark. And as that loads up, I just want to highlight to you sort of how our main course structure works really. So on the left-hand side, we have our functionality toolbar. So I'll cover a few things off this in a moment for you. And then your main sort of page is the course content. So what I'll do is I like to highlight some of the support functionalities as a first point, just because it's nice for you to know that if you do need any support while you're going through your e-learning studies, that you do have that available to you. It's worth me highlighting that these functionalities can vary slightly depending on the course you're in. As we're in a Prince 2 course today, these are the functionalities that are in the Prince 2.7 course. So starting with the bottom, I'm just going to briefly touch upon feedback. Of course, we always welcome feedback. We would love for everyone to leave us feedback. So I would say if you are going to leave us some feedback, it's worth me highlighting this email address box at the bottom. If you don't leave your email address, we can't get in touch with you regarding the feedback. So I highly encourage you to always leave your email address unless you wish to remain anonymous. I won't go into this too much detail, but this goes straight through to a operations team within ILX who navigate through the feedback and get in touch accordingly depending on your comments. Just to navigate up one, we have the AI search bot. So this is actually a fairly new feature to the ILX portal, and you will actually only find this in our Prince 2.7 Foundation and Prince 2.7 Practitioner course. As it's a new feature and we're trialing this out, we want to see how beneficial it is for learners. So what you can do is it will give you preset questions when you come onto the search box, but I've already asked some questions, as you can see. So it's going to give you an understanding and a breakdown. Perhaps it will highlight some examples for you. And you can really use this as a tool to get sort of quick answers. There are various other support methods where you can get the answers to your questions. So I'll highlight those as well, but this is definitely an option for you. It is worth just highlighting this little message at the bottom to please check important information against the official guidance for this qualification. Of course, it is AI, so we do have to be careful sometimes and make sure that we're double checking important answers, especially if they're going towards something greater for you. So do just keep that in mind, but do have a play around with it. It will usually take around 15 to 20 seconds for it to give you an answer. I'm going to jump up one to this little person. This is our accessibility controls. So you may be someone that requires some the accessibility controls as you navigate through the course. For me personally, I actually do use some of these. For example, I'll show you when I come to the exam simulator part of our demonstration, but I actually use the arrow keys to navigate through the questions. So you may decide that you wish to do that. There's various controls. Some of them open up some of the functionalities here. Some of them help you navigate through the exam simulator and the course. So do take note, if you're someone that needs the accessibility controls, you can absolutely utilize these here. We're just going to go up to the little envelope now to our technical and tutor support. So what this is probably your most valuable support functionality that you can utilize on our portal. So this is available within every course for you, every accredited course. And it says technical support, but it's also tutor support. It's kind of best of both worlds for you. I mentioned that, we are here to help you, of course, and I do actually have access to a large range of courses. However, I'm not an expert in all of them. As much as I would love to be, I'm unfortunately not. So where you can come if you need some course-specific help is your tutor support. What I would recommend doing is the challenges you're facing, summarise them in an email, or perhaps you want to call the number, give them a really good understanding of where you're struggling, perhaps give them some examples directly from the course, maybe some screenshots and references. And what that does is that goes to our operations team here at ILX, who work with a group of accredited trainers. So often they're the trainers that help us curate the content for these courses. So they're really going to be well equipped to help answer your questions. I like to say they're your little in-pocket expert. So you can utilize this as many times as you want. The only thing I say off the back of that is if you have quite a large amount of queries, I do recommend popping them all into one email. They may have the answers for you for particular subjects quicker than others. They may need to speak to trainers. They may not need to speak to trainers. So if you summarize it all in one email, it's going to be a bit better for you. And also what they can do from there is if they go through your email and they think, okay, they're really, really struggling with a particular area of the course, I can see that, they may pop you a message and say, shall we get on a Teams call with an accredited trainer, and they can run through this information with you, and they can really highlight to you while demonstrating the course the extra information you might need. Perhaps they'll point you to some resources. So they're really, really there to help you. I can't stress enough how important it is to reach out to them, and if you're unsure on anything, just give them a call or an email and they'll be able to assist you. Just to jump up one more, we're going to the product tour. So I am giving you a product tour now, so you may not need to ever refer to this, but if you do, you just need to navigate to the little iMac icon with the little geo tag just in the middle of it. This is going to just walk you through how to use the portal, give you some summarizations. I won't go into this in too much detail though, because hopefully I'm doing a very good job now. I'm going to skip these two, but I will come back to them. We're just going to jump up to Prince2 templates. So the Prince2 templates, of course, they are only relevant to the Prince2 courses, but what these are documentation that we provided you that will be handy when leading a Prince2-led project in the future. So I always say to people, it's not mandatory to go through these, but they're extra resources, so why wouldn't you? So even if you feel, okay, I don't really need this right now in the moment, perhaps you want to save it for a later date. And how you can do this, it's very, very easy. We just want to click onto it, it's highlighted it for me there, and it's going to open up a Word document. Now this isn't always the case, sometimes it's a PDF, it really depends on the type of document. So what you can do is you'll see that it's giving me the option to download, so you can download this to your device, perhaps you want to print it out. It gives you sort of the information of the document, how to utilize it, and then the template as well for you. And as mentioned, there is a lot of these available to you, so you can see you have 1 to 31, so you might not need them right now, but they are going to aid you. And even as you go through the course, as particular topics come up, you may navigate here and you may think, oh, there's actually a document here that I can refer to and see how that would look within my role when I'm actually completing it within my role. So please do utilize the Prince2 templates. They're here for your disposal. If we jump up another one, we're going to the FAQs. Now, you will notice we have quite a lot of FAQs for this course. I think everyone could agree Prince2 is a very, very popular course. We all love Prince2 courses. So we've been able to curate a really good database of frequently asked questions. I'm just going to drop a few down for you, just so you can see sort of the level of detail in some of them and then sort of the quicker answers you can get from others. So depending on the question, really depends on how much information we need to break down for you. But if perhaps you think, okay, I'm not really getting what I need from the AI search bot, I don't really have time to talk to tutor support, maybe I can check the frequently asked questions. So there's different functionalities for you depending on the type of support you need. So I would just recommend maybe as a first point coming to the frequently asked questions if you want a quick answer, and if you don't see it there, then you can go through other avenues of support. I'm going to skip the star, but I'm coming back to it, so please don't worry. I'm just going up to these two bits of paper now, which is our resources. Just need to close that. Now, resources are slightly different to the Prince2 templates that we've just seen. Resources are available within every course. So any accredited course, you will have your resources. They will vary. people resources won't be relevant for APM, and so on. So in these ones, you can see we have specifically Prince2 resources. I'm going to go through a couple of them just to show you how that looks. Again, they're not mandatory. You don't have to go through them, but I think why not? They're extra resources. They're really going to paint you a picture of the information you're going through within the course. And again, you can save them for a later date. You don't have to use them right now. And maybe you don't even need them until 2-3 years down the line. But the fact that you have them, it's going to really benefit you when you're putting this into practice within your role. So we want to just click onto it. And then we want to open this document, very, very similar. You'll notice this is a PDF version actually. So I mentioned it could be a Word document or PDF. This one's PDF for you. The reason I wanted to highlight this particular document, the user guide, is because I think Dave touched upon how we all have different learning methods. So everyone wants to go through the course differently. So our courses are actually animation and narration based. So if you are someone that has some accessibility requirements and you think, I really don't want a gentleman or a lady speaking at me, and I really don't want all these pop-ups and everything, you can actually come to this user guide, and this has all of the text that you will find within the course listed on this document for you. So you can work from this text document if that is your preferred learning method. I know that some people find it easier to just focus on text, copy and paste what they need and things like that. So I just want to highlight that you absolutely can do that in here. Very similar, you've got some other documentation as well. So you've got your syllabus, you've got your quick reference guide, you've got some exam top tips. So do take the time to go through these. As you can see, it's opened up a different type of document for us now. So this is the Prince2 quick reference guide. So you can go through this and you can get a really, really good understanding of various definitions and things like that as you go through the course. I do highly recommend, as you go through the course, at the beginning stages, going through your resources and saving them onto your computer. You've also got activity PDFs as well. So again, we'll cover this later in the demonstration, but there's various activities throughout our courses. If you would like the PDFs for them, they're often found in the resources for you if you prefer to work from that document. Now we've covered some of the sort of support functionalities for you, I'm going to go into a little bit more of the course contents and walk you through that a little bit more. So you'll notice here that we actually have things, we have it all laid out into bite-sized sessions for you. So I mentioned foundation level tends to be 12 to 15 hours, practitioner around 20. That's kind of why we've implemented these bite-sized sessions for you. No one really wants to start a course and then go through it within 2 weeks, every single day, 6 hours into it. You don't tend to take a lot of information in that way. Studies have shown that little and often is really beneficial for knowledge retainment. So that's why we've implemented this. I would also like to highlight at this point, you can skip to sessions if you want to, but we really do recommend working through it in chronological order. As I said, our accredited trainers work on these. They work with the examining body to make sure that we're putting in all of the content that they've approved. So everything has been designed in a way to make it really easy for your user journey. So if you do need to skip to any, that's absolutely fine. Perhaps you want to go back and refer to some at a later stage. But I would say initially, as you go through the course for the first time, please do work through session 1 all the way to the bottom. It's really going to aid you, especially practitioner level, when we start to introduce other things, sort of like case studies and things like that. It's really going to aid you. So before I just jump into it, just to highlight, you've got your play button, you've got your resume button, and you've got your completion bar. So I'm just going to press play. As I'm doing this, you can't hear him, but I do have a gentleman speaking at me. I have muted him up here, so if you're someone that doesn't want to have that narrating to you, you can absolutely mute that up there. But as the page sort of plays out for you, you're going to have the narration talking to you. So they're sort of giving you, they're breaking down what you're really seeing on screens. The animation's painting you a picture and the narration is breaking that down further for you. So just to give you a little bit more of an understanding of how that looks as we go through. Every page is very different. You're going to have lots of speech bubbles pop up. You're going to have things pop out of folders that you need to drag and drop and put them back. We really do this to keep the level of engagement up for you. And that's why we've also included the dual gendered narration as well. So you've got women and men speaking at you just for that variety and that engagement. I would just like, as I go through, I would just like to highlight, we have just touched upon learning methods and how people have different learning methods. Of course, I've highlighted to you the user guide, which is really, really helpful, but you also have subtitles. So Dave on the call with me today actually does utilize the subtitles when he's watching Netflix at home with his family. So perhaps you're someone that does that and you don't even realize. You always have the subtitles on in the background and you think, oh, I don't even realize I'm reading them. If that's your learning method, then the subtitles are for you. So as you go through the course, you actually see that it automatically changed for you. So all of the text will just amend itself. You don't have to do anything. You can obviously minimize it when you're done with it. Another little cool feature just to highlight to you is if you are struggling to see, if you're like me and you forgot your glasses one day, you can enlarge the text with this little slider at the bottom. But actually, sometimes I do just utilize this to focus on a particular paragraph. If I think, oh, okay, I haven't understood this page very well, I need to go back on it. I'll pop the subtitles on, and the area I want to focus on, I will just enlarge that, and I'll let the narration speak to me again, and then hopefully I'm retaining it a little bit better. So that's how I personally utilize it. We of course give you all of the tools for your success, but how you utilize them is entirely up to you. I just wanted to highlight the subtitles for you. What I want to do now is I think I want page 8, and I want to find this activity. So I mentioned about your activities at certain points in the course. They're usually middle and end point of a bite-sized session. So what these activities are doing, they're offering you a moment to pause and reflect on your learning. So I like to think of these as a soft test of my knowledge. So any activities that I come across in this session are going to be relating to the information I've just gone over and studied. So it's a really great way to see where you're at within your learning. Okay, I've completed this session. Am I going to get this activity right? Unfortunately not. So perhaps I need to do some further development in this particular area. Perhaps I want to revisit the session again. Perhaps I want to go through my resources and find out what's available to me to give me that better understanding. Again, there's a lot of options you actually have with these things. So it's just kind of making you aware of that, and then what avenue you go down is entirely up to you. The activities won't always look like this. Just to highlight, sometimes they're multiple choice, sometimes they're drag and drop. You have all sorts. You have word puzzles. You know, sometimes you'll have about 10 questions and the drop downs will have 5 or 3 or 4 or 5 different answers, and you just go through them and press submit. So do utilize the activities. They're not going towards a greater mark. No one's going to penalize you for getting them wrong. They're simply just an indication of how well you're taking in the information for yourself. So now I've highlighted sort of the main course for you, just showing there's another activity on the next page. Now I've highlighted these things for you. We have a good understanding of the support functionalities that are available, how we have some soft test activities popped into the sessions for you just to make that a little bit more beneficial. What I would like to do now is I'd like to go through some of the remaining functionalities just to show you what can really aid you in your study throughout going through the course. So of course you've got things like FAQs and stuff to find the answers you need should you need to, but what's really going to help you navigate through the course? What functionalities are really going to help you navigate through your learning and organize your notes and things like that? I will show you now. The first one I want to highlight, I like to use 2 features kind of together. So if we just navigate to this open book, just let that load up, mapping all of the terms and everything for me. We come up with the alphabet. Of course, any letters that are blanked out, there's none listed for it, and that's why you aren't able to click into it. For this example, we're going to press P. It's now going to bring up all of the words and phrases that begin with P. So I'll scroll down a little bit just so you can get an understanding of how much information it actually offers you. So you'll notice that some of the words actually just have like a description. Some of them have a description and hyperlinks for you. Now, where these hyperlinks are going, they're actually taking you to specific sections within the course. So perhaps you're looking at premature closure and you're thinking, I'm not really very familiar with it. I've done a lot of my learning and I'm still really unsure about it. So you can look at the definition, give yourself a bit of an understanding. And then you can also click into the hyperlink. It's going to take you specifically to a point in the course where you can get a better understanding of that term or phrase, word, whatever it may be. So I'm just going to highlight that to you now. I just click into it. There we go, nice and automatic for me. I don't need to do anything, very, very easy. And you'll see that the play just automatically starts for you. So you can go into your learning straight away. How I like to use a second feature with this is now I've got this useful page. Okay, I want to keep it. I don't want to have to go through the index and glossary again. This is when I would use our favorites feature. So the little star just on the left-hand side, if we click onto that, You can see I've already got some examples here. What I'm going to do is add this page to favorites. Now it's going to give me the option to actually give it a new name. So I'm just going to say further development again. So you'll notice I've left one up here for myself as well. So how I like to use the favorites page is we can use it how I've just mentioned. So you found something really useful and you want to keep it to hand, you don't want to lose it, or you could use it as indications for yourself. So I do need some further development on these areas before I finish the course in full, or maybe before I attempt the exam simulator. These are the things I need to refer to. Once I've referred to them, I can move on to the exam simulator part. Or perhaps you think, oh, I really need some extra resources or some advice on this section, but I'm at work today, I don't have time to speak to someone, I don't have time to ping over an email. Maybe you can just flag the page for yourself. So when it is more convenient, you can take the time to summarize your issue to tutor support or get in touch with a member of ILX, however you want to go about it. And then of course you've got your activities as well. So if you want to favorite all of your activities and you think these are great, I want to do all of the activities. Once I've finished my course, I want to do all of the activities before I move on to the exam simulator and just make sure I have covered everything and I am comfortable in every area. So that's just a few examples of how you can use the favorites page. Of course, it's entirely up to you how you do it, but personally, I find that is the most beneficial way. The last feature to really highlight to you is the student notes, so the sort of course notes that you're going to be taking. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure, yeah, I'm in the right session. So we're going to open up our student notes and you'll see that it has typed text here. I'm just going to remove that. I'm just going to pop myself a little test note. And I'm going to hit save. Very important I hit save, otherwise it's just going to remove that for me. Now I'm going to jump out of the session one and I'm just going to jump into another random one. You'll notice that little test note I've left myself is gone. The reason for that is these are session specific course notes. So if you're leaving your notes in session one, you will only find them in session one. Now we want to keep your learning organized. You are well within your right to highlight that, copy and paste it into a Word document and work from a much larger document on the side if you wish to, or perhaps you want to make notes on a notepad, you prefer sort of writing things down. But what I would say is the reason we do this is just because you are likely to make quite a lot of notes. You're probably going to be noting down, you know, sentences, paragraphs, key phrases, words, lots of different things. It can be really hard to navigate through a really large document. You're going to be control Fing all the time to try and find the key bits of information you need. So the reason we do this is just to keep it nice and easy for you. If you complete session one, session two, session three in your first few weeks, you know that all of your notes relating to those sessions are somewhere safe and easy to find. So that's why we do that. And if you ever think, oh no, I've lost all my notes, you just need to search through the sessions. They'll likely be in the one that you left it in. So that really is the summarization of the main sort of core structure for you. Of course, I've mentioned they do vary slightly. Sometimes certain functionalities won't be included or will be included. So do just keep that in mind. It doesn't change too much at all. You might just notice, for example, I mentioned the AI chatbot. You won't find this on an APM course or an APMG course, for example. So just very small changes. What I would like to do now is I would actually like to show you our exam simulator. So what you would need to do when you're on an accredited course is you would need to navigate to the 4 lines with a tick running through it. So I'm just going to press that. It's going to open up our exam menu. So because I'm in the Prince 2.7 Foundation course today, the exam simulator within this course is mimicking that. So with our exam simulators, we do like to mimic the certification exam you will be taking as best possible, of course without cheating. So what we do, for example, in this one, so for the Prince 2.7 Foundation certification exam, I would have 60 multiple choice questions and 60 minutes to answer them. So we've given that to you in your ILX portal, in your exam simulator, because what this is going to do is this is really going to help you become familiar with the time you need to complete it in, the question types, the question formats, all these various different things, some of the terminology being used, and ultimately by giving yourself an understanding of how the exam actually feels and how it looks to you while you're going through it, it's going to reduce your on-day exam anxiety heavily. When you actually have an understanding of what to expect and what you're going into, it's really going to help you with your confidence. So a few things I want to highlight to you at this point is that we have hundreds of questions in the database. So what that means is we've been able to generate a large amount of questions from sample papers, previous papers, things like that with the examining body. So they've approved all of these questions. Our accredited trainers have worked on these questions so that they are going to help you become familiar with the exam. And it means that every time you take the exam simulator, you will get different questions. So your actual question set, so for example, 60 questions in this one, that's going to be different every time I take the exam simulator. I might get 1 or 2 questions come through that are the same, but you'll never get the same set, for example. And it's actually probably quite beneficial that you do have those odd 1 or 2 come through, because it tests you. You might have got it wrong right the first time, and then maybe 4 attempts later it's come back up for you and you get it wrong. So that's an indication for you, like, oh, why have I suddenly have that level of confusion with my answers? So you can complete the exam simulator as many times, and because there's hundreds of questions available to you, I always recommend at least 3. You want to get yourself a happy little median of how you're doing, and you're only able to do that by completing it a minimum of 3 times. Certainly don't complete it once and leave it at that, because look at that as your practice run, I would say, and just keep doing it. The more you do it, the more familiar you're going to be. Before I jump into it and just show you how this looks, the only other thing I want to highlight to you is, although we do actually sort of give you an understanding of the pass rate for your certification exam, I want to highlight this for you. So we actually ask you to reach a minimum of 80% or higher in your exam simulator attempts. So this isn't going to come through our end as completed until you have hit that number. The reason we do this is because I'm sure you can appreciate no one goes into an exam, or hopefully no one goes into an exam thinking, oh, I really want to get 30% on my exam today. We all go in wanting 100, 90, 80 at least minimum. So the reason we've asked you to achieve 80% or higher is to build on those knowledge gaps. If you're getting that 80% or higher, and then it actually comes to your exam and you think, oh, I'm a bit stuck with this question, because you've built on your knowledge gaps in other areas and you've had other development areas, it's just going to give you a bit of leeway on that, and ultimately, again, help you feel less anxious because you've got the extra knowledge in other areas. You're going to think, no, it's okay if I'm a bit unsure in this one, I know that I will be able to smash the other section of this. So that's kind of like how it works. I'm just going to jump in now because I could probably talk about this page all day. I love the exam simulator. I think it's honestly, this paired with another feature I'm going to show you in a moment is the best way to prep yourself for your certification exam, to really master it. Now we've pressed play, a few things to take note of. So the time remaining is dropping. So the second you press play, that will go. That's just getting you used to it. That's getting you used to the invigilator saying, okay, time starts now, and you begin your exam. You've then got your question. You've got your answers, of course. You've got your question set at the bottom. So you can see actually it only goes to 1 to 30 here. So if I press this little circle, I've then got my 31 to 60. I'm just going to take you through a little bit of how it actually looks going through the exam simulator. So to answer the questions, you just need to press the answer you want, and then you can press this next question button. Or, as mentioned earlier, if you're like me with your accessibility controls, you can actually press the answer, and now I'm going to press the right arrow key on my keyboard, and it's going to take me to the next question. Just like that. I just prefer this. I find it a little bit easier, but it's just to highlight how you can use those controls. As I'm going through, you'll notice the answer I'm selecting turns blue. So I've answered that. And then very similar, it's a little bit difficult to see on the screen sharing, so I do apologise, but you can actually see that the questions I've answered, they've gone to a light blue at the bottom. And then any that I've not answered have remained grey. So this is your visual cue of questions that you haven't quite got to yet. Now, I would say you can skip questions. So just like this, you notice I just jumped to 21 there. You can skip through them. I don't recommend doing this personally. I personally don't recommend doing it because you might not leave yourself enough time to go back at the end. It's absolutely fine if you do want to do that, but that's why we've given you the time remaining. Keep a close eye on that if you are having to go back to questions you've not answered. And if you find that you've got maybe 6 questions left at the end to answer, but you've only got 10 minutes, you can start looking at that and thinking, okay, maybe I need to adapt the way I'm actually going through my exam. So I will just press submit now, just to give you an understanding of how the actual review sort of status of this works. So we're going to submit. It's going to say you have 46 unanswered questions. I highly encourage you to never submit with this many unanswered questions. In fact, I wouldn't ever submit with any unanswered questions. You might surprise yourself. If you get one wrong, fine, but if you get it right, you're happy with that. You've added some confidence to yourself because you think, oh wow, I really didn't know that I knew that information. So maybe just trust yourself sometimes and just give them all a go. I'm going to be a hypocrite now and press submit with 46 unanswered questions. So let me just do that. It's going to give me this page first, your exam complete page. So it's told me that I've got 5 marks out of 60. So that benchmark pass rate I mentioned earlier of 80%, you can see I've only got 8%. So I'm quite far off of that. I would definitely need to do a few more attempts of this simulator. It tells me I did not achieve a pass. It tells me I should review the course and retake the exam. And then it also gives me the option to review. Now you might be thinking, what is this review? So with the exam simulator, it can remember your best score, but what it can't do is once you've taken the exam simulator and then you come out of it, you all of your attempts, all questions. So there's a few things that we can actually do. So what we can do is when we're completing the exam, we can allow 10 minutes extra at the end to review our answers and to go through the answers in depth and to make sure that we have a good understanding of how we did in the exam. And then we can also utilize a feature called the revision pad, which I'm going to go through with you now. So let's press review together. It's going to bring up this page. So key things I would take note of, rather than your time remaining, you have completed it. So if you forgot to look at your time remaining, not to worry, it's going to give you an understanding of how quickly you completed the exam. It's going to give you the question again, your answers, and then it's going to highlight the correct answer in green and then the incorrect in red. I'll just skip to one that I know I got wrong. There you go, just so you can see that. Very similar at the bottom, you'll actually notice I've got some of the numbers in green and some of the numbers in red. That's just your visual cue of which ones you got wrong and which ones you got right again, just that extra layer for you. So as you go through, you can get an understanding, and sometimes it will come up with syllabus references. It actually, I don't know if you can see that very well because it might be a bit small, or the screen share it again, but it actually has course reference here, session 4. So it's telling me where in the course this question relates to. Again, very, very handy. Perhaps you might want to navigate to that part of the course. So how you can do that is, what we want to do now is add question to revision pad. So now I've pressed that, it's not letting me press it again for the question. We're going to navigate over to our left-hand side functionality toolbar again, and we're going to find the notepad with the tick running through it. So it's very similar to the exam menu, but just with a little notepad. So if I press that now, so you'll see that I've got quite a few questions in here already. So what this is my tailored revision pad. So it's for me personally, it's all the questions that I add once I've gone through the exam simulator and I've completed. Now, you might want to do this with questions that you got wrong. You may want to do it with questions you got right. However you do that is up to you. But what you're going to see is as you add questions from your exam simulator attempts, you're going to spot trends and patterns. There's going to be particular words coming up or particular phrases, or perhaps you're going to notice that all of the questions you're struggling with are around a particular topic. So what you can actually do is, before you even go into the questions in a bit more detail, you can get a really good understanding of that. And you can think, okay, if, you know, project management, if that's coming up quite a lot, maybe I need to navigate to my resources section and see if there's any resources that will aid me in that. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to show you how you can go into the question. So it's going to pull up this menu for you when you press onto the question. It's going to give you the question again. This part I really like. It's actually going to give you a second chance to answer it. So if you actually think, okay, I'm sure of this one now, let me give it a go, you can toggle the correct answer on and off. So if I just show that for you, there we go. So we have D, and then we hide it again and it's disappeared. So you may think, okay, I'm going to add all of the questions I got wrong from my simulator attempt. I'm going to do some further development with my resources, or I'm going to revisit a session that covers them. Then I'm going to come back here and I'm going to give myself another go at answering them and see how I do with that. Another thing to really take note of here as well is we want to make sure that you fully understand the questions you're unsure of that you're adding to your revision pad. So something else we've done is we've added this course reference here. So this is a hyperlink. So if I just press into it to show you, this has now taken me straight to the part in the course where I can find out more on that question. So I might want to favorite it from here. I might want to favorite it, and I might want to name a particular title, and then any that I come across from my revision pad, I might want to do that. Very similar though, actually, if you don't want to use the favorites feature and you just want to utilize your revision pad, you don't have to be in the exam menu to open it. It's here for you at the bottom of this, or near the bottom of this functionality bar. So you can actually just press back into it and you can open it at any time you want. And another thing to just highlight is when you are done with the question, it's very easy. You just need to press this remove from revision pad button here. So do go through the revision pad when you have the chance. Think of it as your tailored tool paired with the exam simulator to really reduce that exam day anxiety, get familiar with your question types and formats, and just get a really, really good understanding of what to expect on the big day. We've now covered the support functionalities, course functionalities. We've covered how the course actually looks in terms of sort of animation, narration, and the things that you can utilize as you go through. We've also covered our exam menu, our exam simulator, and how you can utilize that. So hopefully you feel well equipped for going through your studies. But what we're going to do now is we're just going to shift over to see if anyone has any questions for us. It'll be a great opportunity to see if anyone has any questions, if they're unsure about anything in particular, and we can go over that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. Lovely.
Great, thanks very much, Camille. That was really useful. I found it useful anyway, hopefully everyone else did. So we have had a couple of questions through, so I will just ask those now. But yeah, if anyone else has any, please do start sending those in and we can run through those. So the first question is regarding the exam simulator. In fact, actually both the questions we've had so far are regarding the exam simulator. The first one is just, can you take the exam simulator as many times as you want, or is there a limit to how many times you can do it?
You can take it unlimited. It's completely unlimited for you. So we do recommend the minimum of 3 attempts, but you can take it as many times as you want, and I encourage you to take it as many times as humanly possible.
Perfect. And a bit more specific, this one, but it just says, is there an exam simulator for the MSP practitioner? They found it very useful for the foundation exam and just wondered if it was available for practitioner as well.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you.
Oh, I'll take, yeah,
No,
it's fine.
sorry, you take, so sorry.
That's fine, don't worry. Yeah, so there, I was just going to say, sorry, Camille, just thought I'd let you have some breath, that's all. Yeah, so for the MS, yes, there is a exam simulator for the MSP practitioner and any practitioner course. The real difference between foundation exam simulators and practitioner exam simulators is the questions are based on a specific project scenario. So we actually tend to give you multiple exam papers based on 2 different scenarios, 2 very different project scenarios. So your answers will basically be different based on what those scenarios are. And that's really the key differences between foundation and practitioner. Lots of theory behind the methodology when it comes to foundation and learning about that methodology, whereas practitioner is, how do I put this into practice? How do I use this in my job role? How do I use this on projects that I'm working on? And that's how the practitioner works. So you'll find it's a little bit of a more elongated paper than a simple multiple choice. You can keep repeating that. It's more, you might do really well on exam paper A, and then you might struggle a little bit on exam paper B. And hopefully that will help identify any misunderstandings or development areas in a little bit more detail for you. That's all. So yeah, but there are exam simulators to answer the question.
Perfect. Someone's just said, can we share this video with our colleagues to encourage learning and development in team? I mean, I think that's definite. Yes, we would definitely encourage that. So yeah, as I said at the start of the session, we will be sending an email out tomorrow with a link to the recording. Please share this as wide as possible. It'll also be available on YouTube as well, so you can access it that way if that is easier for you. I had a question, if that's okay. If you've got a manual, does that work quite well to use alongside your e-learning? Do you suggest using it separately or not at all? Sort of what's the best approach if you've got a manual for your course as well as the e-learning?
So if you have a manual, so lots of people do have manuals. They depend on the course. Some courses are open book, so a lot of open book exams. So people tend to have manuals with those courses more. They tend to be practitioner level courses. But lots of the courses are closed book exams where people are less likely to have a manual, but doesn't mean they won't have one, depending on learning style and depending on need. If you have a manual, our e-learning will tend to tell you which chapter we're now going to be speaking about on a particular module or session. but it won't tell you you need to refer to it. So we're kind of looking at it as if we presume most people aren't going to have one, but we're not going to exclude those that do have one. So we'll say, okay, this module is going to be based on chapter 3.1, but it will not say to you, read this chapter, then refer back to the learning or anything like that. The manual should be using aids with the e-learning, not the other way around. Manuals are not necessarily written as if they can be read cover to cover and you'll learn the subject. They're always to be used in aid with the learning. So it might be e-learning, like we're talking about, classroom or virtual training. They tend to work in that way, where they're written to be used alongside a training technique. So yeah, but we definitely, they're good to have. Look, it depends on your learning. So some people buy them and they never refer to them. Some people buy them and they're they really look through them and really kind of refer to them day in, day out. Really depends on your learning style, but they definitely help, but they're not necessarily all mandatory. That's all I'd say.
Perfect. We've just had a question here. It's quite a long one, so give me a minute just to sort of work out the best way to word it. So someone said, what's the process sort of once you've purchased your course? How long do you get access to the e-learning? How soon do you get access to the e-learning? Do you sort of recommend going through all of that before you take the exam? Is it good as a refresher? Yeah, just a bit of an overview, I guess, of the purchase to e-learning process.
Yeah. Camille, you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I absolutely can. So it really sort of depends on how you've purchased. So you may have a contact at ILX already, or you may do it through the website. So generally our licenses are for 12 months access. So for Prince 2 7 Foundation, for the demonstration we've just done, for example, people start at slightly different rules and regulations. To access their content, you actually need an exam voucher first. But once you have purchased that, you are able to then have 12 months on that course, and you also get your exam voucher with that for the People Cert ones. For APM and APMG, you don't need the exam voucher to access the course content, so you could just buy the course access, or you could just buy the exam voucher through us if you don't actually need the course content. However, always study the course in full before taking your exam would be my recommendation. I would never use it as just a refresher unless you have specifically sat this course before. It's only going to be beneficial for you to work through the sessions in order. Once you feel really comfortable with the course contents, then you can move over to the exam simulator attempts. Once you feel really confident with the exam simulators, you can just look at everything as a whole, remind yourself of where you might need to just refresh on a few points or topics, and then from that point you can book your certification exam. I would say that the certification exam is the last thing you book, and you want to make sure you're fully prepared for it and you feel confident, so reaching that 80% or higher in the exam simulator.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. And
sorry, I'll just dovetail that in saying, when you get 12 months validity, if you sit your exam within 3 months, you still get that 9 months access after. So you can still refer back to it if you want. So if people ever wanted to refer back to anything when they start using these skills they've learned and an exam they've passed in their job role, they can always refer back to the learning within that 12 months validity. It doesn't kind of close up after you finish your exam.
Perfect. And do you get immediate access to the e-learning once you've purchased on the website, or is there a slight delay?
It's usually within, it's fairly instant, to be perfectly honest with you. However, depending on, sometimes there's a couple of boxes we need to tick internally, so it might take normally within 24 hours. I would say you'll get your access to your e-learning, or at least confirmation of that.
Perfect. Someone said, I'm not sure I fully understand this one, but you guys might. If not, we might need to just slightly reword it. So it just says, can you access the content before you do the facilitated part for the Prince 2 7th practitioner?
So
potentially in regards to a blended course, maybe, or
yes, exactly. Yes, so you should. So if you're doing anything like a virtual course or a classroom training, what we tend to give you is either the full course or a broken down version of, it's a pre-course basically. So rather than giving you everything, we give you kind of a condensed version that will prepare you for that that workshop, or like I say, that training anyway. So you will get that beforehand. So you'll get access to the portal beforehand, and you get access to the e-learning content beforehand. Minimum of 2 weeks before normally, just to give you plenty of time to go through that learning ahead of your training session.
Great. I think that's all the questions we've had through. We have got a few more minutes, so if anyone does have any additional questions, please do pop those in the chat. But yeah, just a reminder, so obviously there will be an email going out tomorrow with a link to the recording. This will also be available on our YouTube channel at ILX Group. Thank you very much for joining us. We hope you've all had you found the session useful. Thank you, Dave and Camille, for hosting. It was a really good session. And yeah, feel free to please follow us on social so you can find out about any updated events and webinars that we've got coming up in the future. If you do have any questions about the eLearning portal or any of the courses that are available, if you do have a dedicated relationship manager already, get in touch with them. If not, then the business solutions portion of our ILX website is a great place to sort of visit to find out any information. Thank you again for joining, and we hope you have a lovely, oh, sorry, just before I cut off, we have had one more question through. Someone has, oh, it's not even a question, it's just a nice comment. So it just says, someone did the Prince 2 practitioner is eLearning and can highly recommend it. So that's very nice. Thank you very much, Monica. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.